Alright, legends, so I want to talk to you guys about prospecting. But before we get to prospecting, I want to thank everybody that supported my last video and subscribed and liked and commented. It's awesome to see people out there. I've even got some people from other countries that subscribed and are showing some love, so that's pretty cool. But as far as prospecting is concerned, it's important, and a lot of people have a idea of what they think that prospecting is, and they really don't know what they're talking about. And so I kind of want to set that record straight as far as prospecting is concerned. As far as three-piece outlaw clubs, I can't speak on 1% clubs, as I'm not in a 1% club, obviously, but I can speak on what I've observed and being around 1% clubs quite a bit, as well as my own club, because we kind of hold ourselves to a pretty high standard when it comes to the way that we operate and motorcycle protocol and that kind of thing. So one of the reasons that prospecting is so important is that it allows you as an individual to learn motorcycle protocol and how to operate and conduct yourselves in the motorcycle community, the landowner events and clubs and things like that. When you go to 1% clubs and you go to clubhouses, and just how to operate, right? If you haven't been around clubs in that kind of a nature, and you're not used to that kind of thing, it's something that you're not going to really know and understand how those clubs operate and how they want you to operate. And those are important things to know. And that is one of the main reasons why prospecting is so important. It's not because the club wants to make you their bitch, or because they want to take advantage of you, or they want people to wash their bikes, or they want to have quote unquote servants or bitches. That's not what the prospecting period is intended to be. But that's how a lot of people think that the prospecting period is going to be, and what they think that it's about, and that's just not the case. Another reason why prospecting is so important is because you learn everything to do with your club and the club that you want to be a part of. You learn their history, you learn stories, and communicate with your prospective brothers about why they're in the club, what brought them to the club, why they chose to stay in the club, why they didn't go to another club. Like, those stories you'll never get from somebody that is not in the club. So, like, your prospective brothers, as a prospect, will never tell those stories to people who are not part of the club. That's just not something that's talked about. It's talked about between brothers, and it's talked about between perspectives, so that you have an understanding of why they chose to be in the club and why they stay. One of my main questions that I asked the members when I was prospecting for almost 2 years, by the way, one of the main questions that I asked was why they joined the club. And another question that I followed up with that is, why do you stay in the club? And that's a question that not everybody, a lot of people will ask surface level questions like why you joined the club. And if you ask a surface level question, you're going to get a surface level answer, right? and be like, oh, it's for the brotherhood, or it's because I was around the community, I grew up around the community, and that kind of thing. Those are not the reasons why they're there. Those are just to see if you're asking the question because you just want to know, or if you actually want to know why they did something and why they're there. It's not a conversation starter question. It's a deeper dive into the individual and what they're about. Those conversations are some of the best conversations that I've had in the past 3 years in this club. Learning those people and learning those stories helps you build relationships with the people who you will eventually call brother if you make it that far. It's completely different than just going out to a motorcycle event, signing up and saying, hey, I want to be part of the club, throwing down $250, they give you a bunch of patches, and now all of a sudden you're a member of the club and you're a brother, right? There's no brotherhood built there. And from a lot of guys that have come over from other clubs that are RCs, which is riding clubs, or associations, who are now part of the American Veterans Motorcycle Club, have told me stories, and this is their stories, not my own personal experience, but their riding clubs and their associations, it didn't, they preach brotherhood, and they act and talk like, everything is brotherhood this and brotherhood that, but they don't actually do any of the stuff that would be considered brotherhood. It's all kind of just a facade and a thing to be able to put something on your back to where you don't really involve yourself with anything whatsoever that's club related, and you rarely ever spend time with those individuals. Like guys in associations and riding clubs don't have a prospective period. They don't have prospects. They just, you want to be part of the club, you give them your dues and your cost of your patches, and then all of a sudden you're part of the club. There's no build there. There's no relationship built up. There's no learning what the club does or what they're about, the kind of functions that they attend or don't attend, or even if they ride motorcycles. I mean, shoot, there's so many riding clubs and associations in the area that these guys don't even ride motorcycles. They'll come to events, and they'll come to motorcycle events in a car, and they got motorcycle stickers all over their car, and it's like, well, are you a motorcycle rider, or you just want to look like you think you're a badass because you got a patch on some leather vest? Like, it means nothing. And to those guys, it might mean something. So I'm not dogging those guys, but I'm saying that prospective period is important, and it's important for a lot of reasons. Plus, you have so much more respect for all of your other brothers who are part of the club that you want to be a part of. If you know that they had to go through everything that you're having to go through as a prospect, and to learn everything the way you're learning it, they went through that process. They were in the trenches. They did all of the things that they're asking you to do. And that's another thing, that most members of a club, now there's outliers everywhere, but most are not going to ask you or tell you to do something that they once haven't done themselves or are not willing to do. At least in my experience with my club, right? And like I said, clubs are different. They're not all the same, and they don't act all the same. But that's an important thing to know and understand, that, they're not going to tell you to do something. They want you to ask you to wash bikes or whatever. They've been out there washing bikes. If you go out and you're at a big club event and it takes days and they tell you to go watch motorcycles, it's because they've been out there. They've watched motorcycles all night long. They've made sure that nobody's messing with their brother's stuff, right? And that's an important aspect to know, that they've been there and that they've done that. And they're not just telling you to do it because They want to be cool. Got to get some gas real quick. But that's an important aspect of prospecting as well. Another important aspect is that it gives you time to learn and understand without having any sort of responsibility or being accountable for a whole lot of things, you know, to learn the club, to learn how to operate and how to conduct yourself. And that's an important thing because a lot of these clubs, you know, their members, a lot of the guys really don't do much outside of, you know, coming to events in the local area and, you know, something here or something there, but they're not constantly doing duties for the club.